I have people that when I go back home or when I see, yeah, man, we have a hell of a time. Sometimes I reminisce about the ninja that I used to be. I ain't gonna do none of that shit I used to do, but we're gonna talk about it and go down memory lane. I get in my shit or I'm catching my flight, and I ain't that that ninja is left where I just came from. I'm not inviting that ninja to my house. You're not coming to my kids' birthdays. Not gonna be around my wife. I ain't gonna take him to no work function. Let's just be honest. We all have people like that in our life, but what I'm saying is they're no longer a part of your day to day by choice, force, or whatever the reason may be. Let me ask you a question. When you went back home and your best friend or whatever the category is this individual is, would you invite him to your house?
Oh yeah, most definitely.
You would?
He can have a key to my house.
Oh, okay.
He can have a
Well,
key. He can have a key to my house. Him and my mother are still close.
What's your wife think about that?
She hadn't really met him. I talk about
Hell
it.
no. But what she talking about right now? Yo, what's good, family? Welcome to another episode of the Late Night Traffic Report. I'm your boy, Mr. Sencere.
And I'm your girl, Calli.
And I'm Big Mike.
Tonight's topic, we're going to pick up where we left off on last episode. We're going to talk about the follow-up to the loyalty trap. Access denied. It's simple. Everybody can't go with you. We've heard that many times from our big mamas, our grandmothers.
Definitely.
You know, everybody that come with you can't go with you.
Right.
And a lot of us probably didn't really understand what that meant when we were being told that.
Absolutely.
So when we're talking about growth, we need to understand that, growth doesn't just change your destination. It changes who has permission to be in the car to ride along with you. As we grow, as we heal, as we mature, as we start moving differently, not everyone can keep the same access to our life, or at least they shouldn't.
Right.
Some people, we love the old version of you because that was the version that was easier for them to control. It was the version that was easy for them to use, to criticize, to manipulate. We need to really get to a point where we understand something very simple and very clear. Some people don't miss you. They miss the version of you that they had unlimited access to. Okay. So we're going to talk about that tonight. Let's talk about access and what that actually means. Because everybody screams that they want loyalty. Everybody wants love. Everybody wants support, but not everybody deserves the same seat or the same status in your life. Let's talk about it. What do you got? What are your thoughts on that? How do you go as a mature adult in your current version of yourself? Have you taken the steps to limit access and deny access to people who are taking more than they're giving in your life?
Right.
Yeah. I would say yes. I would say more so limiting the access than denying, I guess. I think sometimes it's a little harder to just totally, especially depending on the relationship and, how long you've been connected with that person to like just cut someone off, especially if nothing's happened. I
But
think it's
why?
hard because of your own probably attachment to not even the person, but just to the connection. And I think sometimes, especially as you start getting older, you start losing friends for different anyway, they start dropping off for different things, or they do things to kind of X themselves. So then you find yourself, you're down to maybe like 2, 3 people. You're like, oh, well, and I mean, but at the end of the day, you should be focused a lot more on the quality than the quantity of your relationship.
Could it be possible that some people had access to you when you didn't actually know your worth or value? Because when you think about what you just said, you know, there's a sign, what time mends all
Mhm.
wounds or whatever the case may be, right? And I think a lot of us have that same philosophy when it comes down to friendships, like you said. Hey, I've invested. I knew this person since
Yeah.
I was 5 years old,
Mhm.
right? I knew this person since I was a teenager.
Mhm. Mhm.
You wake up, you look up, you're 40 plus years old,
Yeah.
you're 50 plus years
Mhm.
old, but you got to realize that you or nor that person are the same versions of yourself.
Right.
So if you're uh, time capping it, as I like to say,
Mhm.
right? And I used to have that same philosophy, like, "Oh, that's my man, that's my main man," because me and him grew up together. We did a whole lot of things together, XYZ. But I haven't been around that nugget in 25 years for real.
But that goes to, and you said something that was very key, that understanding your worth. When you're growing up and you feel that emotional connection, that's because, and I'm gonna use the example with watch, with timepieces, Rolex.
Mhm.
If you're in an environment that nobody tells you you are a Rolex, you walk around as a Timex.
Mm.
So the reason you don't understand your worth is because you're around individuals that don't know their worth. So everybody's walking around like a Timex.
Mm.
So when you grow, you get around to the Rolexes and you say, man, hold on, I've been around these Timexes for all these years. And it's not a knock on them. It's a knock on ourselves. Like, man, I've been devaluing myself to 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 stay in that environment. I've been dumbing myself down. And when you talk about loyalty, and in our community, loyalty is always looked upon as no snitching or whatever, the but loyalty is the most important thing to me about loyalty is if you're my boy, allowing you to grow,
Yeah.
allowing you
Without
or her
envy.
without envy, allowing you to move
Right.
to a different place of your life because I see the value in you.
Yeah. I think you make a very valid point. I think also that, you know, all of us have been in a place or a season in our life that we probably said yes way too much,
Mhm.
right? We tried to answer every call. We showed up even when we were tired.
Right.
Um, we gave more than we actually had in our tank
Right.
to never receive that same type of giving. It was never reciprocated, right?
Mhm.
Um, and we tolerated so many things back then that now we would immediately put the disrespect sticker on it and reject it. So,
And, and with that, I want to elaborate and add one thing, that we did all those things, but we allowed it sometimes because we thought that was the right thing to do, because that's what we saw, and it's that subliminal message that that's what we're supposed to do, is allow all these different avenues of access.
I think that, and I definitely agree with what you just said. I think that, everything changes that day you wake up and you're different. And you're different in the sense that you begin to start healing.
Mhm.
See, there is no growth without healing, right? So when you start to heal and you stop explaining yourself
Mhm.
to people, right? You stop answering every message. You stop showing up for people who never showed up for you. And suddenly, you get the dreadful two words, you changed.
Mm.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Or the other phrase, you think you better than
Yeah,
them,
better than us.
you know? No, it's not about changing in like changing necessarily who you are at the core. It's about waking up or building to a point where you have complete clarity.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? And I think that's the problem in our community when we're being loyal to the soil and all the other saying, 10 toes down, doubling down, ride or die.
Mm.
I mean, whatever phrase you have, whatever part of the country or the world you're from, everybody have their own slogan, right? But I think at that point, you're doing all those things, but you put yourself at the forefront. And I think that's what we're talking about tonight
Mm.
specifically, right? We're talking about people who lose access when you start to grow.
Right.
And why? Why? Is there you know, is there some type of chemistry or vibes that you give off that automatically say access denied because you're moving different? Or is it verbally spoken and tell them, hey, some form of fashion, we can't keep moving the way we I'm trying to go left, you want to stay right. How do you do that? You know what I mean? How do you do it? Let's talk about, you know, people need to understand in any relationship that you have, that's any relationship. We talked about the different tiers or buckets last episode. So any relationship that you have, when you want to talk about loyalty, when you want to talk about growth, um, everybody needs to understand one thing crystal clearly. Access is a privilege, not a right.
Mhm.
And at any given time, for any reason, I can revoke your access
It's a privilege.
because it's a privilege. It's not a right.
Mhm.
And I think that, given those buckets, those different types of tiers of relationships we talked about, there's certain buckets or tiers of relationship that they never get that memo. They never understand it. When you talk about family, we talked about, you gave a very beautiful example of a mother and son relationship.
Mhm.
And I kind of last week gave uh, a different perspective, the opposite of the coin,
Right. Right.
where a lot of black men probably feel like, they're obligated to put their mom first,
Mhm.
even over their wife. You know what I mean? But
Mhm.
the Bible even tells you not to do
Yes.
that,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
But I think that, in those relationships, I think people often get it twisted, just because you knew me
Mhm.
or you think you know me doesn't mean that you automatically have access to me now.
Right.
It's a different code to get to me now.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. So one question you asked was kind of like, how do we, kind of signal or communicate that the access is denied? I think a lot of times it's just stopping the communication.
But that's hard for a lot of people. How do you just go cold turkey on the nigga?
Well, it was especially it depends on like if they've done something or like said like you changed or you think you're better and all of that stuff. To some degree, that might make it a little easier because it's like now you're saying things that kind of lets me know that we're not aligned and you may not be in my corner. You know what I mean? But I think a lot of times it is because we don't want to have the conversations. We do just kind of like back out, kind of like walk out the room, kind of ease out. But I think it's better if we were to have conversations with people and actually let them know that, "Hey, I love you, but we're moving in different directions. I'm growing this way, you're here. I wish you all the best." And, the thing is, you can always reconnect with someone potentially, especially if it's not, where anything has happened to kind of break the trust.
Nothing too egregious.
Right. You can always come back together and align back together.
But you stunned my growth is egregious.
At that point,
At that
yes. But
point.
but see, here's the thing. When someone is in a space, in a negative space, in a space of a lack of growth, and like their mindset is in a growth mindset, they're not seeing things clearly either. But if they can come out of that,
But that ain't my problem.
no, they do it on their own. You don't wait for them to do it. Because that'll stunt your growth. But if they come out of that, they're gonna maybe wake up and say, "Man, I was the wrong person in this situation, or I could have been doing
Maybe.
something."
Mhm.
Maybe. And if they do come back and they come back with a different mindset, you're potentially gonna be open to connecting back with them.
I think we put too much pressure on ourselves for changing. We
Trying to appease.
trying to appease the
Yeah.
others. I think we put so much pressure on ourselves as individuals that are trying to grow and mature and
Yeah.
take that next step to changing their life, whatever that capacity means, and the betterment. We put so much pressure on ourselves, and at the end of the day, like you say, access. To me, that means I don't owe you an explanation.
There you go.
I don't owe you to say, hey, here's what I'm doing. If you're truly connected to me as a friend and we grew up
But
together, uh,
let me push back.
well, you give me a second.
Go finish it.
But that's part of growth. When you talk about growth and mature, if that person is not growing and maturing like you to understand that, man, my man is moving. It's not him that's the problem, it's me. When we talk about that's growth and maturity, they're immature, you're growing. And I heard this cliche, the blindest man in the world is not the man that can't see, it's the man that chooses not to see.
Mm.
And that's what's wrong with us. We blaming ourselves when he or she chooses not to see that I'm moving.
So what I wanted to push back, and I didn't mean to interrupt you, but
Go ahead.
I think that you're limiting with your response to one particular bucket, the friend bucket. See, the friend bucket, absolutely you can handle that way. You know what I mean?
Right.
But what about those other buckets? What about when when it's a parent or a sibling
Listen,
or some family member that you have a very close connection to? You're not. Well, I'm a different breed.
you.
I handle everybody the same
Yeah.
way.
And
You know what I mean? I'll give you access denied to any and everybody, but for most people, that's a very uncomfortable conversation. That's a very challenging thing to do. Now, your friends give or take, because a lot of us we equate, you know, time with trust, and history is, equal to some imaginary. We've given it some imaginary value on a relationship, right? Um, but even how do you say blood does not equal access?
but the drip,
That's a different conversation.
but the drip in the bucket is the same.
Mm,
We
okay.
we separating the buckets, but the buckets is the same.
Okay.
You don't owe explanation either to your family members, because if
That
expect,
sounds good.
but but we're talking about growth and maturity.
Yes.
We're not talking about excuses. Growth and maturity. If it's a family member, they should be held at a higher standard than a friend. Why? Because I know you not just from friendship, but I know you because we are blood. So I should see the change in you, not to hold you back, but at the end of the day, it's their lack of growth, not yours. And you're not the problem. I think once again, it goes back to when we're growing, we beat ourselves up because we're like, man, is this right? Is that right?
When we talked
And
about it, survivor's
yeah,
remorse or a
yeah,
growth
right,
remorse, right?
right. So we beat ourselves up for getting better. And we're the only race that beat ourselves up for getting better.
So I know this may seem harsh to some of those who's listening, but somebody out there needs to hear what we're saying.
Yes.
Needs to hear that exactly. Like, no matter what tier, what bucket they fall in, to Big Mike point, your family, you should hold them to a higher standard. Because at the end of the day, you got to remember it's your life. You got people in your life who keep using, pass keys to doors they no longer have access or deserve to have access to anymore. So you can't be manipulated, because we talked about that last time, right? Last episode about the manipulation that
Right,
comes with
right.
it. They'll say, oh, we go way back. This still your family. Uh, I knew you before all of this. I knew you before you moved. I knew you before you married him. I know you before you married her. All that nut shit that, nuggets say. Um, I was there when nobody else was. That's the one right there.
That's the one right.
And the reality, okay, all of that might be true.
100%.
But being present in one season doesn't guarantee that you have other access to other seasons.
Say it again.
It just doesn't matter.
Say it again.
It just doesn't. So, some people always say this. And, when I talk to my youngest son and my oldest son, just telling them about, there are people that come in your life for seasons and reasons.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I have a whole another life that I lived
Mm-hmm.
many years ago. Um, and it was part of me just being able to survive that lifestyle. Not saying it was right, wrong, or indifferent, right? Just it's all I knew. It was the limited toolage or toolkit I had
Mm-hmm.
to survive. You feel what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
But that still doesn't mean that just because you helped me survive, you built the person that I am today. It doesn't equate to that. Because I'm nothing like the teenage version I am today.
No, she could be.
Or, right. Or the 20
No, she could be.
plus version that I am today. And that's why I'm glad we're kind of doing this series, because this is a conversation either you're having openly with your family, friends, etc., or you having it internal,
Mm-hmm.
right? This is something because there's many people who have similar
That
stories.
struggle with it.
There's many people that struggle with it. There's many people who are battling tonight as
Mhm.
we're, having this conversation. They're internally tormented
Mhm.
because in order for them to open a door, they got to close a previous door
Mhm.
and throw away the key.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And that's a hard challenge for most people.
Absolutely. Because nothing changes and stays the same at the same time. So in life, you can't stay the same and change. You got to make a hard decision. What you're gonna do at that moment. What's more important? Because sometimes you gotta make a decision, whether it's friends, family, whatever. What's important to you to get you to that next stage of life, and what's important for your family? And it's a hard decision. Like you have to cut people loose. Unfortunately, um, some people want to go, they just can't because it's too hard.
I think that, you're absolutely right. And I think that's a telltale sign to see if somebody is really for you, right? Because again, we talked about this last episode. If I'm truly your friend and I truly support you, you stepping off or sliding off or doing whatever you're doing to work on yourself, I should honor that.
Right.
I should be proud of that if I really have your best interest at heart. Yeah, it might be unfortunate that I can't come along with you.
Mhm.
But if I see that you're doing okay and prospering and you're being the best version of yourself, even if it's from afar,
Mhm.
you should still be rooting for me and vice versa. You know what I mean?
But here's the kick. Here's the kick, and I'm sorry to cut you off. When you get better, I get better. If I'm a true friend, a true supporter, your true encouragement, a encourager of what you're doing, when you get better, I get better. Not because you owe me anything, not because I feel like, man, if he gonna break me off, but the simple fact when I watch you get better, it's an example.
Right.
Man, that mean I can get better. Cause man, we used to do the same things. I can do it. So those things encourage the next man to say, if he can do it, I can do it. Now, that's one thing if you bring him along because he's been there encouraging you and noticed, he or she noticed, man, I noticed the change, man, keep doing it. Don't come back here. But, my cliche is when you get better, I get better.
So before we move on, I just want to, drop some key points. I think that if you're out there right now and you're contemplating or you're having this conversation that we're having internally or with your family, just remember these few things, right? First of all, support is not ownership,
Right.
right? Because I support you, I don't own your future,
Mhm.
right? Even if I help guide you through a challenging season or a rough patch in your life, I don't own your future.
I know.
And that's not a guaranteed pass to access to you 5 years, a year, even hell, 6 months down the line. You know what I mean? So love is not control,
No.
right? And again, being in somebody's life or supporting somebody, having a history does not equate to a lifetime membership.
Mm-hmm.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
People really think that. Oh, me and you were best friends in, elementary school or middle school, and what the fuck? What does that matter? I haven't been around you in 20 years. I've been away from you longer than I was with you. But
Right.
people think that.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
oh, I knew you from the sandbox. I knew you from this. I knew you. Yeah, you knew me,
Mhm.
but you don't know me.
Correct.
And that's the big difference. You knew me,
Right.
but you don't know me.
But I also think that people somewhat, and maybe this is not the same, but I think sometimes people normalize like the having that distance between people, like not speaking, the people that say, "Oh, I haven't spoke to them in years, and if we see each other, we're gonna connect and we're gonna pick up like we never left off." Now I understand with busy lives, you have schedules, families, and all that stuff. You're not gonna see each other as much as you see each other, when you were younger or whatever. But my thing is, all relationships have to be cultivated.
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
You know? So I think in ways, if you're not pouring into somehow sending a text,
Showing up.
showing up in some way, I think it's somewhat disingenuous to just say, "Oh, we're still connected just because I know they got my back." But you have to, because then what happens, and maybe females do this a little bit more, then when you have, new friends that, let's say it's a person that lives out of town, and then you have newer, friends that you're more seeing on a day-to-day basis, what's gonna happen? You're probably gonna get, in a way, presently closer in a way with the people that you're connecting with day to day
Because
than
that's
not the because it's out of proximity, closeness, and connection.
and I agree with you.
So we can't neglect these relationships just because we feel like they're gonna be holding us down. Because think about it, I mean, I know it's different than marriage, but would your marriage survive if y'all lived in two different cities and only talked to, you know what I mean? It's the same concept to a certain degree.
Yeah. And I'm blessed. I am blessed because my high school best friend, man, we might go a year, 2 years without talking. But when I touch down and go see him, we pick up like we never missed a beat. And I don't hold him like he owes me something, and he doesn't hold me like I owe him something. And the last, we never say to each other, man, why you ain't call? Why you ain't text? We don't never say that.
Understood
And
already spoken.
and that's true friendship
Do you think
because
that's more of a guy thing though?
I can't say if it's a guy.
Well,
I know it's between me and him. I can't say who,
Yeah.
whether it's female, male, or who is. I love the relationship, and I should reach out more, and I don't. So I put my ownership on me, but I love when we see each other. Man, it's like we back
Yeah.
to square
but
one.
let me ask you a question,
Yeah.
because I gotta not necessarily go off the deep end, but I always want to try to give
Mhm.
the perspective on the other side of the coin.
Okay, let's roll.
See, what you just described is you're going back home for a very limited amount of time,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
Y'all gonna hang out.
And we don't hang out like that, man. I go to his house, we chill out.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah. We ain't
Yeah,
had out no clubs or nothing. Like we
but
just chilling.
that's maybe at most a 7 to 10 day
Oh yeah.
pocket.
Pocket.
When you go home, you just told me you ain't calling that guy.
But
You ain't inviting him to no birthday parties. You ain't
uh,
inviting him to your house.
what
Hey,
I'm
here it comes.
but what I'm saying is you got people that's close to you that you talk to every day or you associate with more often. But if you disappear for 3, 4 days, boy, them Negroes mad. Like,
Yeah.
dog, you ain't text me, dog. That is that friendship or control?
It's a good, but here's what I would say. It could be
They're kind of
both. It could be a combination of both. Here's the point I'm
Mhm.
trying to say. He knew you, but does he know who you are now?
Oh yeah. Because when we get together,
Now you're missing the
think y'all catch up.
yeah,
on
yeah,
all
catch up.
this.
But can you do that in a 7 day window when you've lived 5 years, 6 years, 10 years, 20
That
years?
long.
Can that person insert themselves into your your day to day now. See, that's like I have people that when I go back home or when I see, yeah, man, we have a hell of a time. Sometimes I reminisce about the ninja that I used to be. I ain't gonna do none of that shit I used to do, but we're gonna talk about it. I'm gonna go down memory lane, but I get in my shit or I'm catching my flight, and I ain't that that ninja is left where I just left came from. I'm not inviting that ninja to my house. You're not coming to my kids' birthdays. Not gonna be around my wife. I ain't gonna take him to no work function. Let's just be honest. We all have people like that in our life, but what I'm saying is they're no longer a part of your day to day by choice, force, or whatever the reason may be. So it's not abnormal to go back home and relax and hang out and catch up with some of your old the old crew, right? But are you gonna take them people and say, okay, if let me ask you a question. When you went back home and your best friend or whatever the category is, this individual is, and you just admit that you need to, keep in contact more, would you invite him to your house?
Oh yeah, most definitely.
You would?
He can have a key to my house.
Oh, okay.
He can
Okay,
have a
well,
key. He can have a key to my house. Him and my mother are still close.
What's your wife think about that?
She hadn't really met him. I talk about
Hell
it.
no.
But when
What you talking about right now?
What I'm saying, the reason I use that analogy, I trust him that much
Okay.
to say he can have a key to my house. And that relationship, like you say, when we get together, in those 10 days, we're talking about the person we are now, not the person we used to be. See, what you alluded to was y'all talk about what y'all used to do. We never talk about what we used to do.
I think it's the same thing.
But no, here's the difference.
You're talking about it, but has he seen this in action,
Oh, no,
practice?
We both encourage each other because we see the change in each other.
Okay.
We not talking about running the streets, smoking, and doing all that dumb stuff we used to do.
Oh, I thought you were pointing. I didn't say.
No, not you.
I said, would we talk?
No. I said we. But when you get with some friends, we love to reminisce what we used to be, not focusing on who we becoming.
Okay.
So we focus on who we becoming.
Okay.
So that's a different level of friendship because some people want to talk about all the stuff you used to do, not
hold on.
Who
you're jumping into the next segment. But,
okay, go ahead.
But I think that's a good segue. And I think that we all can agree. One thing for sure, we all know, growth exposes haters in your circle. Big time, right? I think you both agree, right?
Oh, yeah, yes.
Not because you're necessarily trying to do better than them or think that you're better than them. Maybe you just want better for yourself than they want for themselves.
Correct.
Right? And that's a hard pill for a lot of people to swallow.
Right.
It's like, we talk about the most potent drug on the streets right now that everybody's running from. Accountability. Because to your point, when you try to call me out.
Oh, I ain't call you out. They don't call you out.
You try to call me out.
I call you out.
When I go back to the town, I'm talking about smoking weed.
Oh, no.
Chasing big booties. I said in the streets.
No, I was talking about this.
Look, ain't nobody saying about no big booties.
Hey,
no, I ain't saying nothing about no big booty. Yeah, I'm glad you pointed that out. I was talking about us.
I got you that thing, Mike.
But to your point, listen, it exposed a lot of haters because good growth, right? Positive growth makes you change your appetite.
Absolutely.
Right? Makes you change your appetite. There's different thresholds for different things that you're willing to tolerate.
Right.
Or it changes your tolerance level to things, right? A good indication is when you do go back or you're around these people, you probably shouldn't want to be having the same conversations, right? Because that doesn't show growth. You don't want to hear about the same drama. You don't want to rehash or continue the same horrible cycles, right?
Right.
And you don't, most importantly, when you think about it, if you do find yourself in a situation like that, after you reminisce off the good times, then what pops up? The excuses, the same old excuses. Hearing somebody not take accountability for where they are in life. It's always somebody else. It's something else. It's the man. It's the system. it's the baby mama,
Okay,
it's just
so
whatever. It's something else besides the person looking back at them, the reflection, looking back at them for the mirror, right? And the reality that makes a lot of people uncomfortable. That makes a lot of people uncomfortable,
Mm-hmm.
right? I think when B was on last week, he said something to the effect that people stand in front of a broken mirror instead of acknowledging,
Mm-hmm.
the mirror is broken. They try to adjust themselves to the broken pieces.
Right,
So you
right.
see what I'm saying? And that's real
That's real.
because we talked about like discipline,
Mm-hmm.
what that means to growth and loyalty,
Mm-hmm.
right? And most people that are challenged or find it hard to maneuver either or both, right?
Mm-hmm.
They're very inconsistent in their practices when you think about it.
Right.
I think the biggest problem is your discipline reminds them of their inconsistency,
Yeah.
right? Because
So
every hater admires you in a different way. They
It's
just they
it's
don't know how to practice.
it's a form of admiration.
and most of the time your haters are the individuals that are still talking, like you said, about the same things.
Mhm.
They're not moving. There's no progression. So they hate on the person that is progressive. They hate on the person that is growing. Uh, whether it's outwardly shown or internally, just keeping inside. They hate because you're growing. And they look at themselves and say, well, why am I not growing? Bottom line is
That
you mad at the wrong people or the wrong things because you refuse to grow.
Accountability
Yeah.
or lack thereof.
I like that.
What are your thoughts about your boundaries remind them of their entitlement? What does that mean to you guys?
it's when you're drawing the line that says, "Hey, you know, these are my expectations for your involvement, for you being connected with me," then I think it reminds them of their need or their feeling that they need to or that they can be entitled to you or that they're entitled to the access to you.
I like what Calli said, but a lot of the best example is sports figures, superstars. You have to draw that boundary. And a lot of times you see when they draw that boundary to individuals that always had access to the money and the VIPs and the access to all these things because they're always at your hip and you're starting to realize the longer it goes, you're not an asset, you're a liability. And
Right.
when and once you put that boundary, now they talk about you like you the problem.
I like what you just said. So then they start talking about you. So I think when I think your piece can remind them of their chaos,
Yes.
right? And so instead of celebrating your growth, they begin to question your motive,
Mm-hmm.
right? You acting different.
Mm-hmm.
You think you better than us.
Yeah.
You think you better than me. And it's your family, then they hit you with the whole, you know, it's a plus six deal. It's a combo. You know what I mean? Like especially if it's like your mom or your father, whatever the case may be. Um, you don't come around no more.
Mm.
You forgot where you came from. That one should be in all caps.
Yeah, you hear that a lot.
You know, you forgot where you came from. And no, you don't forget where you come
Mhm.
from. Sometimes growth means that you're remembering where you came from, but refusing to live there forever.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Mm.
And actually, if you come from like a lot of places that most of us come from, they had to, get it out the
Mhm.
mud and work really hard. You never forget where you came from because you never want to end up back there.
Back there.
So that's like one of the biggest sources of motivation and inspiration for you to keep doing what you do.
Yeah. Most definitely.
And I think a lot of times we are in ways, what you said made me think of this. A lot of times you're already in ways or willing to help your friend in any way. Like so it's not so you're focused on your growth, but if you're able to, drop knowledge, share something, connect with it, do whatever you can do, you're usually, if that's your friend, you're always going to be willing to do what you can do to help them because that's not going to take away from your growth.
Mm.
But my point is, if that person still kind of saying those things and it's not supportive of your growth, you probably really do need to disconnect from them because 9 times out of 10, if you're the friend that you think that you are to them, you've already done or shown that you're going to be there for them, and that it's not you're just so self-centered where you're just only focusing on yourself. You are, but it's not to the point where you can't help and be there and support your
Mhm.
friend, and it goes for your family too.
So, do you think that sometimes, because like I said, we try to give both perspectives.
Mhm.
Is there situations where friends and family may be right? Sometimes people do go out, go out and achieve things,
Oh.
and they get an ego.
Mhm. Oh, absolutely.
So sometimes you do have to check yourselves and check your ego because it's not always one side.
One side, no.
Some people do, go off and become successful, and they thumb their noses and they look down on people. So, I, what do you guys think about that?
I think yeah, I think sometimes that can be true, and I think that's where, what I was mentioning earlier is kind of the opposite where,
Mhm.
you have tried to pour into that friend and, that family member or whatever. But I definitely think there are times where, you know, depending on, and it sometimes it can maybe depend on your upbringing too and what you experience. And sometimes you just want to go so far away from that and the people, and and that can maybe cause you to also connect with other people more that are currently in your current circle and social economic area and all of that stuff, and you feel like you more can relate to them, and sometimes you're doing it because you don't want to be reminded of where you came.
Mhm.
So you
Yeah.
created a whole new persona.
Uh-huh.
But I
Yeah.
think that growth without humility does become
Mm.
pride and ego.
Yeah.
Correct, correct.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I agree with your last statement too. Some people hate their previous life so much and the struggle. They just want to distance themselves so far from there. It's not necessarily ego as much as I hated that life so bad. And seeing family, friends, whoever that haven't moved from that space reminds me that pain I have so much. I just want to get away from it. Another thing is some people, the ego is getting away, but what they say, success and money doesn't change you, it just reveals who you are.
Yes. So let's do this real quick. I want to kind of break it down again like we did last time. I
Mhm.
really want to talk about family first because I think we talked about that
Mhm.
earlier, right? It's very easy to deny access to friends, associates, acquaintances,
Mhm.
but family, man, that's a hard one. That's a hard one for a lot of Black people.
Mhm.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because we are raised with able to. The only way you're able to survive is being loyal to your family. What's the thing that our mothers, grandmothers, whoever, what do you always hear? Family sticks together,
Correct.
no matter what.
No matter what.
Don't put family business in the street. Don't turn your back on your people.
Mhm.
But I want to circle back and kind of double down on what I said last episode about
Okay.
generational toxicity. Because I think that over the generations, that's become our common practice in our language that's embedded in our DNA. But it's really to cover up dysfunction and
Mm.
toxicity in your family relationships because in those family dynamics, there's a lot of secrets
Mhm.
hidden, buried that shake the family to the core. And it's easier for everybody kind of sweep it under the rug or lock it in a closet or store it
Mhm.
in an attic or bury it
Mhm.
than to address it. And the reality is, you can't heal without truth.
Can't happen.
You know what I'm saying? But what happens when, family wants to stay silent? They don't want to reconcile. They want access without accountability.
Mm.
What happens?
You you have you have the generational curses. You have each generation you just keep carrying into the next generation and next generation. Um, Somebody has to be that curse breaker. And like you said, it's going to be the truth that's going to release you.
I like what you said because, moving into the next segment, we're going to talk about friendships. Then we're going to talk about relationships, like
Mhm.
spouses, because that one's going to be really powerful
Mhm.
before we jump into the rapid fire questions. But what I'll
Okay.
say is, I think that you have to take a stand, whether it's against your mom or your parents, your siblings, your favorite auntie, your favorite uncle, whatever it may be.
Mhm.
And you have to take that stand and
Right.
say, I love you, but I can't keep letting you disturb my peace.
Mhm.
Right. And they'll call you fake. Most
Yeah.
in the black community, they gonna talk shit behind your back or to your face and tell you fake. No, it's not about being fake. It's about finally being free.
Right.
Yeah. I think too, and I think we're doing better with this in our community, but I think we have to get better with um, being willing to go to therapy. And even in the family setting, I
Sure.
think that's probably still maybe even a little taboo to say, okay, mom, okay, sister, we need to come together to all talk. Because a lot of times what we do in our communities is we had the conversations kind of one off to the side. We kind of
Mhm.
do it
Yeah.
behind, you know, you know, dad and daughter might talk or mom and dad might talk. And then, but no, we're not talking all together about how we feel. So we're kind of venting on how we feel about that person or about the situation, but we're not coming all together. And then you got also the secrets, the family secrets and things that, we a lot of times we somewhat take to our grave
Mhm.
Yeah.
in ways. And I think all of that is pulling us down as a community in a way because we're not addressing and to some degree we're not allowing ourselves to be free
Well, I
because
mean, you have to
we're
take the stand to make that declaration. Like, I love you, but
right.
this relationship is disturbing my peace.
Mhm.
You know?
But a lot of times we're not strong, and that's why I think the therapy can come in and maybe help because a lot of times we feel that and we may have moments, strong moments like, I'm gonna do this. Now, and you go maybe you get through like maybe a month or two, and then Christmas comes around or a birthday comes around or
Yeah. And
you,
what's that? So you
and then you say, I gotta, then someone tells you something like this, life's too short. You only have one.
Precious.
You only got, that's your sister, that's your mom, that's your brother. Then people do that to you. So you're kind of, then you feel like,
You're obligated into life.
and that's what we
And
talked about.
and
but
it's
then you,
I think you hit the key word. Whether you seen a therapist or it's just
us
amongst the family,
man, something, yeah.
it's that word truth.
Mhm.
If you're in front of a therapist and you're not being truthful,
It won't.
you're just wasting money.
And
Yeah.
time.
So that word truth is very powerful. And when you speak the truth, every individual has to do what? Take accountability, apologize if that's what it takes, ask for forgiveness, whatever it takes. But it's not the end of the world. When if that person matters to you, it's not the end of the world. You you have a discussion, not an argument. You have a discussion. You discuss the truth. You discuss why it hurt, what you said, if you said anything or you did anything. And you just come to that table and say, you know what? Life is short. Man, we've been mad at each other. We haven't spoken in 20 something years.
Yeah.
For what? Because nine times out of 10, it's because you misunderstood what I said.
Yeah.
It's not, I said it when you said, no, that's not what I said. So we haven't spoken because you misunderstood what I said.
So I think that's a good part for us to transition
Hmm?
into. the next bucket, right? The friendship bucket. But before we do that, I'll just say I like what you said. Blood makes you related, but behavior determines access.
Mhm.
That's the quote that I want the viewers to take away from the family part. And let's move into uh friendship breakup
Mhm.
that nobody talks about. You know, for some people, friendship breakups can hurt just as much as romantic breakups. Not me,
I could see.
but for some people, sometimes even worse.
Yeah.
Because those are the people, those are your true ride or dies.
Mhm.
Even if they were your ride or dies during that season in your life, right?
Right.
You're gonna think about the late nights. You're gonna think about the broke days.
Mhm.
You're gonna think about the bad decisions. You're gonna think about the dreams before they actually came to fruition. And sometimes when you grow, those friends don't and can't grow with you. Not because anyone is, a bad person, not that anyone thinks that they're better.
Mm.
It's just you can't you can't push the growth button for somebody else.
No, you can't.
It starts with them,
Mhm.
their actions and their ambition and their it's their life journey,
Right.
right? You can kind of support it, but you can't force it on
No.
somebody. And I think that when that occurs, when you outgrow a friendship, how does that look and how does that impact both individuals?
Mhm.
It can be painful for both in ways because even the person who knows that, hey, I gotta walk away because of, this is impacting my growth, it still hurts them in a way. You're impacted by it. You don't necessarily want to do it, but it's what you gotta do for your growth.
Before you go, Big Bite, can I ask you both a question?
What's
Real
that?
quick? I mean, this is just my philosophy. Outside of family, I think this can be applied to the other buckets, if you will. I think how somebody comes to you matters. So what I'm saying is just like I believe like for a man and a woman,
Mhm.
right? And I'm not gonna go off topic. Um, I have this philosophy, right?
Because we talking about friendships, right?
Well, we're gonna get into the relationship piece too, but I think,
Uh,
like I said, I think this is applicable for every bucket or
Mhm.
tier of
Mhm.
relationship that you may have. Like my philosophy is, what how a woman comes to you is the same way she'll leave you.
Mm, okay.
Know what I'm
Mm.
saying? So I think like for friends,
Okay.
how did that friendship form?
Mm.
Did you guys or you all bond over pain?
Mm.
Was it over partying?
That's
Was it over doing a particular thing that both of you guys were
Mhm.
involved in?
Okay.
Is it about complaining and scamming and
Mhm.
shit like that? Or was it just out of survival, right?
Okay.
You came from a jacked up family. He came or whoever came from a jacked up family.
Mhm.
Both of you guys just, jacked up people and kind of connected.
It's almost like
So
Word.
trauma bonding.
for sure,
Okay.
you know, but if one's healed and the other is not,
Yeah.
Mhm.
that's conflict.
Right.
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 Yeah. And you gotta separate at that
And
point.
and I do have some friends that we went our separate ways and you know we'll hit each other online or something like
Yeah.
that, and we were real close. And like you say, bonded, military,
Yeah.
clubbing and doing all that. Um, some of them you think about it and hurts. Like,
Yeah.
man, what happened? And for myself, I take responsibility because back then, man, I was easy to do to walk away. I can walk away, don't bat an eye. Then as you get older, you realize for all of us to grow, we all had to be repotted in different areas
Yeah, I like that.
because when we were together, we weren't bad for each other, but wasn't good for each other because the things we were doing, hey man, we shouldn't be doing this.
Yeah.
Hey man, this ain't right.
Right.
So for us to get to that growth that we needed to, we had to be repotted in different areas. to become the men that we needed to become. And it's not saying none of us was bad people. We just needed that time away to grow, to understand who we are, the value we have, to become better fathers and better husbands and just better men of God, just whatever. We had to separate.
I like that because do you have something before we get into
No.
relationships? I like that because what I was going to say is, you know, a lot of friendships don't end on, you know, any egregious acts or betrayal. Um, they end because growth changed the direction
Mhm.
and the language of your life,
Correct.
right? And I think what you just said is a perfect example of
Mhm.
that. Like, you know, I have people that, to your point, we were great.
Mhm.
Never had an argument. They
Right.
never did anything grimy behind my, you know, nobody slummed nobody out. Nobody did nothing egregious. It's just, hey, bro, we we on two different highways,
Mhm.
two different speed limits. You feel what I'm saying? And we ain't even gonna catch each other in traffic because mine going in one direction and yours is wherever it is. You know what I mean? So I like that. Now let's talk about the one that I really wanted to spend a little time on before we jump into the rapid fire.
Mhm.
Let's talk about relationships and restricted access. We're talking about we're talking about people giving, you know, relationship access to people who will have not shown a relationship level commitment.
Mm.
So what I'm talking about is, you know, they get your body. I'm gonna keep it PG. They get your time, they get your emotional energy,
Okay.
they get your vulnerability, they
Mhm.
get your loyalty, but they don't give clarity.
Mm.
True.
And there's a lot of people that's in that boat. They don't give clarity, they don't give consistency, they don't give commitment.
Commitment, accountability.
And that's not love. That's really unauthorized access. And let me
Can I use what we used to use as easy access?
you say easy access.
That's easy access. That's what it is. Easy
So
access. Didn't Easy use that for? What didn't Easy have a song? Easy access.
that's plenty of easy access on. I think that easy access or unauthorized access, whichever one you want to use,
Uh-huh.
I think sometimes the reason people keep getting hurt because they keep giving somebody the password to parts
Mhm.
of, you know, their body, mind, and soul that they never actually earned.
Yeah. Yeah, you're giving
Do
the
you understand what I'm saying? Like you're giving somebody
yeah
this unfiltered, this
access
unlimited access to these things, and they haven't earned it.
that they don't. Yeah, and they don't haven't earned. They don't deserve either. Um,
And this men and women. So when it's
no, it is.
it's both.
Right.
I think, and when you do, and I think you're doing it in the relationship construct. I think you're doing it with the hopes that you're gonna get more.
Mhm.
Connection.
You're gonna get
Connection.
whatever that connection. You're gonna get, to the marriage, whatever that is that you're think that you're looking for. You think if I just give a little more vulnerability, give myself, my body, my mind, my time, all of that. And then in the end, you just honestly, you leave feeling used.
Yeah, you basically give a person, to go back what you said, a person that has not committed, no accountability, no responsibility, uh, no anything, but you give them the keys to the safe. And when you get there, you're like, where everything at? But you didn't give them any requirements or
Right.
anything to say. You didn't give them any boundaries.
I
Yeah.
like what both of you are saying because I think that
Him or her. I'm sorry, him or her.
I think the word is actually you didn't use proper discernment.
That's true.
You know what I mean?
That's a good word.
Because you know, access without discernment is that you're emotionally attached to someone who's is not a lifetime, is really a moment or a lesson for you.
Mm.
but you extending the lease, right? You're going in there and checking never change password. That's what you're doing basically at that point, and expecting
Right.
things that you haven't discussed. Like you said, boundaries or requirements.
Yep. And I think when you do that, you end up a lot of times taking that into your future relationships too, that hurt from that. So then when you go into the next relationship, either you might do the same, some people might just do the same thing, but then some may be more guarded, and you may be so guarded to the point where you don't let that person get close to you enough to even, so you can kind of, that other relationship can kind of scar you, but you really need to understand that, learn from it, understand the accountability that the part you played in it, and you got to be free to move on and have the openness
You need
to.
a buzzer. Bing, 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 bing. You're reading my mind.
Oh, okay. I was
I
like,
think
"For what?"
When she said the person, a lot of times we looking at the opposite person and wondering why this cycle's going.
Uh,
And it's not them, it's you. Because at the end of the day, I think you said something earlier about an access code. You give an access code
right.
to everybody you run into. You giving it to them. You're not having to fill out an application. They're not doing a background check. They not doing nothing. You just give them, everybody you meet, you give them access code.
So I think
uh,
that I will say I think this is for the ladies. What I'm about to say,
okay.
um, just because my philosophy is I think women are um in control of sex.
Okay.
Agreed or disagree?
That hoo-ha?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Women are in control, right? So I think that women need to understand that everybody that desires you doesn't respect you.
No.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I think that women need to really understand that when you get in relationships, right? You know, everybody that wants your attention doesn't deserve to be intimate with you. You know,
Yeah.
everybody that likes you or appears to like you doesn't mean that they value you. So I think that, all that kind of aligns with what we're talking about. Access has to be earned.
But in today's society, when you watch, and I'm not gonna go off target too much. When you talk about the women, when you watch these women these days, it's not about your side. What you saying? Oh, you control. They giving that thing away.
Well, that's the
And,
point.
and what I mean by it, they're lowering their value too. I'm just elaborating a little different because I seen something this evening. Somebody offered the young lady $1.5 million to impregnate her,
Oh wow.
and she had a miscarriage. And I'm like, oh, are they doing it for Birkin bags, or are they just
Yeah.
bouncing around? And it's like, what? What are we?
But that's my point. Like, that's why I said women are in control of sex.
Yeah.
When you go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I think a lot of times, women, young women, equate sex with love,
Yes.
and I think until you kind of
Get all those things
understand,
we just talked about.
yeah, it's and I'm not, obviously you can be taught that growing up and all of that, but I think sometimes it's just the lessons that you have to learn on your own, unfortunately, and society too. I
But
think
they're not even equating it to love no more. They're equating it to things.
means
Yeah.
that's true
They-
too.
It's not even about love. It's how about
And
just
that's the problem.
that's the problem. It's not
Yeah.
even love. It's not even. It used to be how they equated to love. Now they equate it
Yeah,
how much he has, how much can I get, how much can he spend on me, when can he put me in a private jet, and it's all materialistic now. It's no value on themselves because they said
Period, yeah.
everybody. I'm gonna say it, but I'm gonna crit everybody hookers.
Yeah. For sale.
Everybody for sale, and they don't think. And here's the big problem: they don't think it's a problem.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's before we jump into
Yeah.
let's just go ahead. what I'll say is this, right? Because I think both of you had some very good points. The point we were trying to drive home is
That's a
man or woman, stop giving full access to people who
Oh.
only show part-time commitment.
Sorry.
I was thinking to myself, I'm sorry, I'm laughing at myself. I say hooker instead of the P word, prostitution. I'm like, hookers.
Let's jump into rapid fire.
Okay.
Again,
What can you say?
quick
Quick
answer.
answer, honesty.
No long speeches. Just be open and honest. Okay.
Dang.
Who has access to you that no longer deserves it?
I've shot my circle up so small.
Said nobody.
It's who's in the circle's in
And
the
I
circle.
think my circle is getting smaller, so
Yeah.
I think I'm good.
I'm
That's not
good.
true, but okay.
That's
Are you setting boundaries or are you just disappearing?
Set boundaries.
disappearing.
Who only supports you when you're struggling?
Who only supports you?
Who only supports you when you are struggling?
So when you say struggle, that mean that you need them.
Yes.
Oh, who supports you? That's my baby. Oh,
My
like
husband.
I mean, I don't know why I had to laugh.
It
That
was
was
the way
Oh,
the
no, that was
question
you.
was
That was you.
worded.
straightforward question.
yeah. I was
Yeah,
like,
I didn't know
struggle.
if it
I was
was-
like,
Okay, look. Do people respect your growth or remind you of who you used to be?
respect the group.
Was that
Respect the growth.
no follow up?
Yeah.
No credit.
Yeah, this was good. The other
That
one
was good.
that was good. The other one, come on now.
Are you afraid to say no? Just say no. Just tell them no, like Kat said, because you don't want to be called fake.
Yeah, sometimes.
I'm gonna say I used to struggle
Wow.
with that. I used to struggle with that.
Oh, this is a good one. But you two completely um, repaired people that you guys are.
Come on, ask the question, man.
Who drains you every time you talk to them?
Kids, man. I'm gonna tell
Okay, good.
them kids.
Well, maybe. Yeah, it drains. I just say family overall.
Let me rephrase that. When I say kid, my kids, not old kids, my young adults, not all of them, but I
Yeah.
got some that just they drain you, and it's not because they. And I'm giving you not because they ask. What drains you a lot of times is you ask something, we give you what you asking for, but you take none of it.
Yeah.
So you're draining me.
Have you confused love with availability?
Have I confused love with availability? No.
Never in your life.
Oh, you mean that's a lifetime?
Man,
Yes.
we've done this too many
Yes.
times for you.
Yes.
guys.
Yes.
I thought it was some.
Look,
I thought it was something like rope.
let's reset it for a second. I know that you guys are a complete progress, right? Yeah. You
We're
you
complete
can't you
products.
can't you can't improve the mold any more, right?
Oh.
I get it. We're talking about throughout your journey.
Oh yeah,
right.
yeah, absolutely.
All right. I'm gonna just ask two more.
Okay.
If someone met you today, would they still have the same access? So that means anybody from your past,
No.
they met you today.
No,
No.
not everybody.
All right, final one. Are you protecting your peace or just punishing people?
Protecting my peace.
Protection.
Probably doing both. All right. Before we close, if you have any final nuggets, final gems you want to drop before we go to closing?
I'll go. I go first. I think what stuck with me is that support doesn't, if someone supports you, that doesn't equal like unlimited access to you.
Yes.
And I think that that's something that unfortunately it's something that we're kind of ingrained or kind of groomed to kind of think that means like you owe them that equals the loyalty forever. So
Yes.
I think of, just remembering that doesn't mean that.
Think of life as a place that has 4 seasons, meaning change is going to happen in your life. But with change, also think of growth in the subject line. Growth and maturity is optional. If you choose not to grow, don't sit here and blame everybody else or everything else, everybody and everything, because you refuse to grow and mature. That means you blame the government. You're blaming uh this man for changing. You blaming everybody else for something you refuse to do. So, and you see a lot of people that because they refuse to grow and refuse to let their life prosper, they blame everybody else. But growth is an option. It is an option.
I like what both of you said, and tonight I'm trying to keep it pretty short and sweet. When it comes down to it, it's very simple. Access is sacred. Your time is sacred.
Mm-hmm.
Your energy is sacred. Your peace is sacred.
Ah,
And at some point, each of us have to make that point, reach that point in our lives and say, I'm no longer apologizing for protecting something it took me years to rebuild.
mm,
And I think, when we talk about growth, growth is expensive. Talked about that for the last 2 episodes. It's gonna cost you access to people, places, and versions of yourself that were never meant to go with you on the next level.
mm.
So, if this episode has made anybody think, have it made you reevaluate where you are?
Mm.
If it answered some of the questions that you may have internally? If it made you said, hey, it's time for a change in my life. If it just did that to one person, then we did our job. I want to thank both of you for joining me tonight. I think that the content is getting better. I think that we're going to keep going down this lane. And we want to hear from subscribers of things, topics
Right.
Yeah.
they want us to do. Before we go, one final thing that we're going to do is we're going to switch it up. Instead of me coming up with topics, each of you going to come up with topics and lead the show. I think that'll be a different twist for us.
Like that.
So, yeah.
Yeah. Growth.
Bro.
Bro, get the switch and get into the driver's seat.
So until next time, stay sturdy, choose wisely, and we'll catch you in traffic. Hey.
Peace.